Meanwhile, the only person in the government who seems to be remotely competent has been there for 40 years almost. That's Anthony Fauci. He's the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease. This guy has been walking a tightrope, trying to basically follow behind Donald Trump, like literally picking up his droppings so that they don't infect the entire country. And here he is on CNN's Jake Tapper on Sunday saying, anticipating between 100,000 and 200,000 deaths. Play this.
Any city will be spared from this virus. How many cases do you think the U.S. will reach? 1 million cases, 10 million cases, or are these or do we not even have any idea?
You know, Jake, to be honest with you, we don't really have any firm idea. There are things called models. And when someone creates a model, they put in various assumptions. And the model is only as good and as accurate as your assumptions. And whenever the modelers come in, they give a worst case scenario and a best case scenario. Generally, the reality is somewhere in the middle. I've never seen a model of the diseases that I've dealt with which the worst case scenario actually came out. They always overshoot. So when you use numbers like 1 million, 1.5 million, 2 million, that almost certainly is off the chart. Now, it's not impossible, but very, very unlikely. So it's difficult to present. I mean, looking at what we're seeing now, you know, I would say between 100 and 200,000 cases, but I don't want to be held to that because it's deaths. I mean, we're going to have millions of cases, but I just don't think that we really need to make a projection when it's such a moving target that you can so easily be wrong and mislead people. What we do know, Jake, is that we got a serious problem in New York. We have a serious problem in New Orleans, and we're going to be developing serious problems in other areas. So although people like to model it, let's just look at the data of what we have and not worry about these worst case and best case scenarios.
I mean, there you have it. The models that projected 2 million, again, were if we did nothing. 100 to 200,000 is probably a perspective on what we know about what's happened in California and in Seattle. California, they did their stay-at-home order early, and thus far, it seems to have inhibited the spread of the disease. Seattle, it seems to be working. In New York, we're much harder to get compliance, I think, and just there's a lot more density. People have been doing it now for about a week and a half, I'd say. A week, maybe officially. 2 weeks. And hopefully that will start to level things out in New York. But we have parts of the country. This is the thing that the modeling can't really capture. Like, what are the implications of an entire media apparatus, a significant chunk of the country, listening to a media narrative that has been saying this is overblown, it doesn't mean anything, that we should get back out there? I mean, when someone with some level of responsibility says we should get back out there, the implication is we can get back out there. And I don't know how many people respond to that message. I don't know how many out of 10 who hear that message and perceive that person as a trust agent, as it were, then go out and say, forget it. I mean, I think that is going to be, that may be like the second or third wave of problems that we have. That's what's going to happen in small rural communities. That's what's going to happen in even some of the urban centers that are in red states, as it were, using red states as a barometer of how much right-wing media is consumed. I think this is going to be a real problem. Going to be a real problem. Scary. Here's Donald Trump now. Apparently, Fauci sat him down and said, we're going to have between 100,000 and 200,000 deaths. And so Trump immediately says, okay, whatever. That's what we'll define as success. There he is from the White House garden.
I just want to reiterate, because a lot of people have been asking, well, what would have happened if we did nothing? Did nothing. We just wrote it out. And I've been asking that question to Tony and Deborah, and they've been talking to me about it for a long time. Other people have been asking that question. And I think we got our most accurate study today, or certainly most comprehensive. Think of the number, 2.2, potentially 2.2 million people if we did nothing. If we didn't do the distancing, if we didn't do all of the things that we're doing. And when you hear those numbers, you start to realize that with the kind of work we went through last week with the $2.2 trillion, it no longer sounds like a lot, right? So you're talking about, when I heard the number today, first time I've heard that number, because I've been asking the same question that some people have been asking, I felt even better about what we did last week with the $2.2 trillion, because you're talking about a potential of up to 2.2 billion. And some people said it could even be higher than that. So you're talking about 2.2 million deaths, 2.2 million people from this. And so if we could hold that down, as we're saying, to 100,000, it's a horrible number. Maybe even less, but to 100,000. So we have between 100 and 200,000. We all together have done a very good job. But
unbelievable. I love the fact that he's already like pre-congratulating himself. It's absolutely stunning. I mean, the what this guy was saying just 3 weeks ago. Yeah, pop up his tweeting, his ratings tweet. He's very excited, Donald Trump, because his press conferences are getting a lot of ratings. I am telling you, just as I told you he would insist on writing his name on those checks. I know that was low-hanging fruit, but nevertheless, we were still like 3 weeks out from talking about this. I am telling you that in the past week, he has been telling his advisors, this is good for me. This is working out well. If I had known, I would have done this before. We would have had another. If I had known, we would have had, maybe we could have ordered one, a pandemic. There's no doubt in my mind that Donald Trump has said something along those lines. Here is his, I'm just calling into, there's no doubt in my mind that this is where is he getting? Oh, this is on Monday on Fox News. On Fox News. This is unbelievable. President Trump is a ratings hit. This is a quote. From Trump. And you don't even get to who it's attributed to the second tweet. President Trump is a ratings hit. Do you think he sits in the Oval Office and he's like, all right, transcribe Fox News at exactly 1:32 p.m. President Trump is a ratings hit. Since reviving the daily White House briefing, Mr. Trump and his coronavirus updates have attracted an average audience of 8.5 million on cable news, roughly the viewership of the season finale of The Bachelor. Numbers are continuing to rise. On Monday, nearly 12.2 million people watched Mr. Trump's briefing on CNN, Fox News, and MSNBC, according to Nielsen. Monday Night Football numbers. Millions more are watching on ABC, CBS, NBC online streaming sites, and the audience is expanding. On Monday, Fox News alone attracted 6.2 million viewers for the president's briefing, an astounding number for 6 p.m. cable broadcast, more akin to the viewership for a popular primetime sitcom. Oh, this is from the New York Times. The CBS News poll said 13% of Republicans trusted the news media for information about the virus. 13% from the New York Times. There you go. If I had known, we would have had more of these folks. We would have had a ton of them.
He should use the Monday Night Football music to announce his press conferences.
I don't know why they don't. There should be. I mean, it's just a matter of time, right? Before there's going to be some whoosh. And then like an ad. I saw a, we're on all sorts of email lists for the president and trying to think of like what it was that he was trying to sell this afternoon. Where the heck? Oh, shoot. Where is this thing? I'll find it. President Trump. Hurry, this is important. And then it's like, you can get a Trump gold card. Honestly, like it's just coronavirus briefing. Here's your brief. You can get t-shirts now for, I mean, that's an exaggeration, but I don't know. Are we 6 weeks away from that? 5 weeks away from that? 15 minutes away from that? I don't know.